Neil is going to share his insights and abilities with y'all. Are y'all ready for that?
Yeah.
Are y'all ready for that? He will share everything from shrimp recipes to DJ. Hey yo, y'all make some noise, man, and make him feel good. The homeboy Neil Armstrong.
You guys can hear me, right? I don't need a mic, right? Okay, does everybody know who I am, or are there some people who are like, whatever? Yeah. Okay, well, I'll give some background then for people who don't know who I am. My name is DJ Neil Armstrong. I am a member of the almighty Platoon DJs. We used to have to fight everybody. We're probably the only crew that we battled the X-Men, the Beat Junkies, the guys who are like the, oh my god, the Allies. Yeah, the Allies. Up to the current, like whoever's won in the last couple of years from the US, Shifty, Vajra. Someone in my team beat one of them. And that was a Iron Merch. But my thing, I was not a strong battle DJ. I was probably the weakest member. And to the point where I actually never won a battle. That's probably not very well known. I always kind of make the equivalent, like to, you know, like the Wu-Tang Clan. You have the RZA, the Jizza, Old Dirty Bastard, Inspector Deck. And all the way down at the bottom you have You God, who spit, what, 8 bars on a Protect Your Neck. But we all know who You God is because he was part of Wu-Tang. I was kind of that dude, a little more though. I kind of was involved with managing them and things like that. Because I kind of pursued a different path, which was mixtapes for me. I ended up DJing for Jay-Z. I've DJ'd I was the first person on the ones and twos to DJ for the inauguration of a US president. I am currently following in the footsteps of Jam Master Jay as a global Adidas ambassador. So I don't know how much you guys know about this. Like, obviously you guys like streetwear, but back in the day, athletic companies only sponsored athletes. And then Run DMC came along, they made a song called My Adidas. And they flipped the script. They're the reason why Snoop Dogg, Big Sean has a sneaker, blah, blah, blah. It's because of Run DMC. And I'm following in Jay's footsteps. I work with Adidas quite a bit, in fact, like everything I'm wearing, except the t-shirt and the jacket. Like I always have to wear Adidas when I walk outside. For other people who don't know anything else I've done, I'll just show this quick video. So you guys can get a kind of a measure of what's going on. Every day is like literally a brand new adventure. I thought something that would be cool is, people would always come up to me and kind of ask me about the mixtape stuff, and some people like really just have no idea. Like even like when I first started, so remember there was no DJ classes. I learned by watching people, and I was really fortunate that guys who I got to watch were like Q-Bert and the X-Men and all those guys, so I had really good teachers. But there was no one to really show me how to do stuff. I had to figure it all out by myself. And I remember we didn't have computers back then. It was, you know, we had these 4 tracks and stuff that looked kind of like this little console here, and just recording straight. Like you'd have to practice your mixes. Like you'd have to have the acapella record, and you'd have to prepare everything and rehearse it, so if you messed up, you can, you know, stop at certain points, and hopefully you never mess up, and you have to kind of record everything straight. So this is back in the day. Right. And I remember asking people, yo, I don't understand how you guys are playing like 5 songs at the same time, what's going on, and things of that nature. So I'm here to kind of guide you guys. Whoever wants to be involved in that type of stuff, I assume some of you guys do. So obviously there's a lot of scratch DJs here. Anybody wanna like do this for a living or do it already? Like for real, for real? Don't be shy with your hand. Alright. So as DJs, you know, especially scratch DJs tend to have like they're pretty stubborn about their music tastes. They don't want to play commercial music, they don't want to do this, they don't want to do that. And that's totally fair. Somewhere along the lines, you have to figure out how to make a compromise though. Because what you guys are doing when you are DJs is like, one thing of course is you are marrying your ability to make money with your art form. And there's only a couple of people who can never compromise, and usually they're the people who die before they make money off their work. You know, so I don't know if you want to do that. Vincent Van Gogh, I'm pretty sure he was, you know, starving artist. And I'm pretty sure he did whatever he wanted to do. He didn't care what anybody else wanted. So you got to make that choice. Let's see. My thing was, I was at the cusp of DJing kind of turning into like this very experimental art form. So I was around when like it was very simple beat juggling. You know, we'd slow the beats down, so it was like, you know, head nodding. Now it's everything is all crazy. It's double time. It's, you know, things just going all over the place. And scratching was simpler back then. Like it was so simple that maybe there was one person on the East Coast who could flare, and that's it, just flare. And now the average person doesn't know what the heck is going on. Right? So the reason why I made mixtapes in the first place was because I wanted to present to a normal audience a way to, like, I wanted to use my skill set but make it palpable for a normal audience. So how can you do that? Like, you hide your scratches in the intros. You don't beat them over the head with it for 5 minutes straight. You know, you do creative stuff with your music. I don't have examples here, but like, you know, when beat drumming was big, I would beat drum the whole part. So the people who cared about it would be like, oh snap, you just flipped that. The people who don't know what's going on, they're like, oh wow, that sounded funky underneath everything. So, you know, there's always just this balance that I was trying to obtain. And literally, from the initial mixtapes I made, they got into the right people's hands. One such person was this girl named Vashti Cola. So if you guys are into sneakers, you know she's like this downtown hit girl. She's the only girl with a Jordan. Right? And she used to work for Jay-Z at Def Jam. And I remember her coming to my parties or a show, like I did a show at Reed Space, just DJing, you know, playing music, and she would just watch. She was just watching. And Jay needed a new DJ for his tour, someone who was kind of like more like A-Track than DJ Pluto or someone who just stopped on the mic. And she was like, well, you need to mess with Neil. He does the turntable stuff, he has that background, but he also has this name, he has this brand that he's built because of the mixtape. And it was like a Wednesday, I was at home playing Guitar Hero, literally. My manager writes me this email and he's like, you're in line to become Jay-Z's DJ. And I was like, whatever. Guitar Hero. By that Friday, I was on a plane to Miami. Literally, if you're Jay, he walks up to me, he's like, yo, thank you for doing this. I turn around, next thing I know, they set turntables up right in between us, and that was my audition, and 3 days later, I was in front of 10,000 people. So, I'm just like y'all, exactly like y'all. All I've spent was my time DJing in the basement, and I was able to turn that into something bigger. So, you know, you have to have dreams, but you have to be smart about how you approach it. And, you know, all those type of questions, if you guys have any questions about marketing, about branding yourself, etc., we can do that. Now, when people RSVP, I asked some people to RSVP and they asked me like 5 questions. It was really more general, like stuff like what I'm talking about right now. But before I do that, I am going to get into some technical stuff for the people who have questions about this. All right, so one question was always, what kind of equipment do I use? I'm a straight up, still a turntablist head. So I don't really get to battle and make routines anymore, but I love turntables. So I do use Serato. I do use vinyl still. I have it's like a, you saw me gigging. That's what I do whenever I go to Toronto. I spend a bunch of Canadian money on records, and that's all I use. I am sponsored by Rain, so I do have the 62, but honestly, like, I don't even use half the stuff on it. It's just very basic stuff. The other part I use is a multi-track recorder. Now, this is Pro Tools. Okay, so show of hands, anybody who's used it or a multi-track? Okay, so for the people who don't know what the heck is going on, I will explain it to you. So I will give you. Okay, so this is a mixtape I did called The DNA of the Blueprint. Wait, hold up. Yeah, ready? Now it looks like for one reason or another some of the files are missing, so there might be some empty spaces in between stuff. Essentially how a multi-track recorder works is, instead of like, I don't know, for the guys who've never used it, I assume like you get your set ready either by setting your crates up or putting your vinyl on the side, and you just record straight through, right? These tools allow you to actually record not like on a timeline, like you can go back and forth in time and remove stuff and add stuff as you see fit. The easiest way I could always explain it is like, those acetate pictures? Okay, so like at the bottom it would be like on this acetate picture, the most base level would be like a farm with grass, right? And on the next level, on like the next acetate level would be a horse. On the next one would be a barn. And the next one would be a cow, right? And then when you put it all down, like you can see all these things. Let's say you're like, I don't want a cow there. You can rip out that acetate. That's kind of how this works. You can layer audio on top of each other. So this is like an audio track that would play. And then this is another audio track that would play, and so on and so forth. And these little things are waveforms for people who've never seen them. That's the visual representation of a wave as a digital, like zeros and ones. If I zoomed in on them, you can actually kind of see that they're. I'm not. Like they look like, waves. Okay, so let's do this we'll start from looking at the whole picture, right? So we're gonna look at the whole picture. Now when I make mixtapes, I kinda got known for a couple of things. Blending, elaborate blending. Everyone can blend it, or most people should be able to. Like, that's taking 2 records and beat matching it, or taking an acapella, beat matching it. I try to make it extra special by rearranging the words or creating a new verse or making whoever's on the record communicate with each other. And then on top of that, like with Jay, because I was on tour with him, I have like stuff that none of y'all got. So I'll use that stuff because no one else has it. I want to surprise you guys. And I kind of have this like 5-minute rule. When you make a mixtape, you need to capture the audience in the first 5 minutes. All right, so this is like for advanced people. If you don't, they will not listen to your mixtape. I wouldn't listen to your mixtape. If I'm bored in the first 5 minutes, I don't want to hear it. But I've literally sold mixtapes off the first 5 minutes of the mixtape. They're like, oh man, that 5 minutes, I gotta hear the rest. So that's like a general rule. Another person asked like how long should a mixtape be? I'd say like an hour. Anything over that tends to be boring. So I've heard people like, they would do these intros and they'd be elaborate, but their intro is like 10 minutes long. Like that's too long. You know, you need to capture them very quickly, all right? And the other part is the people who listen to my stuff tend to be a little more cerebral, right? So they like music, they like scratching, they like music. So I also like to have a general theme whenever I make a mix so that people can follow along like it's a story. All right, so like I said, there might be some words missing. And so there'll be like little empty space here and there, but we should be good. Okay, we'll start from the very
Just that nigga, the best in the best when I come through with the Glock jet black, you niggas step back. I'm the best that you know I know, put into this, me and my niggas who get rid of the shit. I came into the business with just to get richer than upgrade Armstrong, drop my shit.
I think anyone at the forefront of music or anything should push. I mean, if you care about it, right? If you don't care about it, just take the money, keep it, and watch everybody just, you know, do whatever. But I think as a person in the forefront, you have the responsibility to leave it better than how you got it.
J-Ho.
My name's supposed to be there.
Hold up.
You got everything, you know, specialize in one thing, but you can't call yourself all out king.
Who's king? You looking at him right here, my brother, the original.
Hold up, this ain't for iTunes. This is anti-auto-tune. This ain't for sing-along. This shit need a verse from Biggie. I might send this to the mixtape Weezy. Nigga, this shit violent. Let the story get started like this. This is death for auto-tune. Moment of silence.
Relax and take notes. Biggie's for the layer, the rap slayer, the overlayer. Motherfucker, say your prayer. Who's the one you call Mr. Macho? The head honcho. With this like Cumacho. I got so much dollars to be down with the stylistics. Make up to break up. Niggas need to wake up. Southern Indonesia. While I take totes of the marijuana smoke. So you in the show with them smoke. Don't smoke. I'm the ruthless. Leave you toothless. You're different. I live it. Trust it. The whole world race leaves you rusted. I just want the paper. I rock like the vapor.
These are the vocals. And now these are Jay's vocals up here. And that's the beat.
Hold up.
Okay, so I made Big E, I know that Jay song.
Right, history without the pen, no idea on the track, let the story begin. This is anti-auto-tune, that for the ringtone. This ain't for iTunes, this ain't for sing-along. This is Sinatra at the opera, bring a blonde. Preferably with a fat ass who can sing a song. Wrong, this ain't politically correct. This might offend my political connects. My raps don't have melodies. This shit make niggas want to go and commit felonies. Get your chain took in. I made to it myself, I'm so Brooklyn. I know we facing a recession, but the music y'all making gon' make it the Great Depression. Or your lack of aggression. Put your skirt back down, throw a set, man. Nigga, this shit violent. This is death for auto-tune, moment of silence.
So, as you see, you know, like, I know previous I would hear people, I don't know if you know that verse that Biggie did, but it's not the normal verse. Like, he doesn't spit it that way. I recreated, I took it, chopped it up, and made him say it differently. And then, you know, people might have just left it at that. They might have just left the Biggie thing. But I was like, no, let's make this interesting. Like Biggie and Jay, it's Biggie, Jay-Z, and Nas. That's the argument all the time. Well, this is a Brooklyn thing, right? So I'm just going to keep it Biggie and Jay. How can I flip that idea? Jay and Biggie, the last time they were able to rhyme together was on Brooklyn's Finest. But now I brought it to DOA, like something that could never happen, right? So those are all ways where you can make something a lot more interesting than just, let's take acapella, let's drop it on there, let's do something. And then you hear the little scratches here and there, just to satisfy the people who are like, well, the thing will still cut. You know, those little things will provide more to most people than scratching for 32 bars. All you need is the little pieces. Okay? So just to, hopefully so you guys can kind of understand what's going on here. Pretty sure like this right here, this would be instrumental. So if I play it. So this is Jay's verse right here. I can actually mute Jay's verse on here. So now I'll use instrumental, right?
Hold up.
I can also
Rap with a rewrite history without a pen. Hold up.
I can also kick out this.
Hey,
Out by solo.
goodbye. Hold up.
See, so now
Only rap with a
like that beat.
rewrite history without a
Take it
pen.
out and I can put a new beat on it. You guys kind of understand what I meant by like the acetate thing, right?
Hey.
Cool. All right. So, any questions? Is this confusing to anybody?
You're missing something right there, no?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a couple of things. I'm missing my name. Yeah, there's a bunch. Now, as you can see, these 5 minutes are pretty elaborate. Like, there's a lot of stuff going on here. As a note to you guys who will understand this, when I record these pieces, like say I was mixing two beats, which I did, right? I mixed this beat up here, which would have been the DOA beat, and I guess this beat ends up being the Biggie joint, which is that one. So how I actually record these things is I take the whole song, right? So I'll have, like, say there's an acapella for DOA, there's also the DOA, the instrumental, and there's also full put together. I actually record all 3 pieces because later on I don't know what pieces I'm going to use, and the voice, like, there are always little issues with, like, sometimes the acapella is faster when it gets rendered, and what else would happen? The instrumental might be too low. There's just all these little things. Now, say I use, and there's different parts of the song. You know, sometimes there's like little breakdowns that might be at the end. Now, say I found out there's a breakdown at the end that I want that I didn't record, but I already went and started switching the pitches around, changing the volumes around for the next song. I can't recreate those anymore. Like, this is something I learned through time. Like, even though it's more time consuming, it's even more time consuming if you're trying to find a piece that you can't recreate anymore, right? So I record everything I can, as much information, and then I chop it down. It's like whittling wood. So that's like for the advanced users, that's how I suggest approaching it. So an average mixtape, it takes me a long time, especially when I first started. If any of you guys heard Bittersweet, that took me like a year to make, because there was a lot of conceptualization and everything. Like, there was a story told. So I didn't just sit there and like, you know, poop it out. Like, it actually took work. Even these intros, the first 5 minutes, it tends to take me like 3 to 5 days just to get it right. There's also issues with volume. So one of the other questions someone asked was, is mastering important? Mastering is extremely, extremely, extremely important. Volume, everything. You should, this is for the more, versed guys, where you need to check your volumes is between transitions. So these, like, I'm positive, like, see, like, look at this volume up here. This is at 7.6. Originally I was at 0. So I have to, like, literally go through every single part over and over again until, especially the transitions sound right. Because when you have a beat and the beat drops and another beat comes in, even if it's like, volume-wise it makes sense, it might not make sense for the song anymore. It changes everything, right? So you need to, there's just a lot of experimentation, and all that is with your ear. Another question someone asked was, like, how do you break up the songs once they're done? Now, there's a process for Pro Tools, and probably for everything. So besides Pro Tools, there's Ableton. That's another thing you can use. That's a multi-track recorder. I'm sure there's a bunch more. I can't remember offhand, but I use Pro Tools. After you're done, you actually bounce it. So this, again, this is like the first 5 minutes. This is the whole mixtape up here. It goes all the way up to here. So you bounce the mixtape, and it turns it into a WAV file. Then I can't show you here because it's on my home computer. I actually still use a PC just because you can build a PC real easily. That's really powerful. And Max, like, you know, I'm paying like $3,000 to make something I can do something I can make for $500. So because of that, the software I have obviously isn't on my Mac. But there's a program that I use called Sound Forge, and I'm sure there's a bunch of different ways to do it, but that thing, literally you can set these markers and turn the markers into regions, and then it just splits these songs up into tracks. Okay. Let me see. I'm going to show you one other thing I did.
You know, what's the process to obtain an acapella by including phase inversion from just the regular track?
How's the process? So what he's asking me, so you know, in this case I have acapellas or whatever of Jay that I got because I DJ for Jay. The other way to do it is something called phase inversion. So, well, it doesn't always work. So, in theory, this is how it works. There's waves, right? These actually. Oh, yeah, I did see one of these. So focus like where I'm right at over there. Okay. So as you see, like these are literally just waves. Like they go up and down, right? You guys see that? So technically, if you have, for example, you have a normal song, like you have the DOA with Jay's verse on it, and you also have an instrumental. Now these things, right? You can actually invert one of them. So when its face is up, it'll face down. And the idea is if you line up the song with the verse and the instrumentals, the peaks will cancel themselves out when you play both of them, and you can extract an acapella. It is dicey at best. It works. It does work. It absolutely, in theory, works. But there's a lot of stuff that sometimes works against you. Like a lot of the acapellas that get made, if they're not official, someone made them, so they don't. The phases will never match. So you just can't extract them. There's really smart ways of masking those issues, and that again, that just comes with practice. Like I'll play this next one for you. And I'm pretty sure they call it like a DIY, like do-it-yourself acapella. I'm pretty sure this next one doesn't have, like, it was a do-it-yourself acapella. Hey, where's the Pro Tools dude? Can we, how do we smush this down, like on these? So as you see, I actually learned this by myself, so I don't know any of this stuff. It was not set up from my computer, and I can't do none of it. Okay. All right, so
until we find the right one.
This is a DIY acapella, but a lot of the, if you just heard it flat, you can hear like distortion pieces. When you put it over a proper song, you can't really hear it. So, yeah, the inversion thing, I've tried it on some stuff and it just wouldn't work, and I'm like, man, why isn't it working? And I would listen to the instrumental and I was like, that's not the instrumental, someone made this. And so when that happens, it just won't work. It won't work 100% apart. But you know, if you can do it, more power to you. And if you really want to do it, if you look online, there's a bunch of tutorials that'll teach you how to actually do it. Okay, so what time is it? 9. Okay, yeah, no more time. All right, any more questions before I do this part?
Yeah, I got one question.
Yep.
I noticed you're using Pro Tools, and the version I use, you can't like import an MP3 and then change the BPM on it. Do you lay out everything from the turntable, or do you import the MP3 and change the BPM
Okay,
inside?
good question, good question. So, just in general, so he's asking, some of you guys might not understand his question. Everything I do is on turntables, and I do a lot of planning beforehand. It helps. Enough planning that, in fact, I don't really record for a while. I have a whiteboard, and I write a bunch of notes. I try to, I group stuff by genre, by acapella, by, I don't know if you've heard, I kind of use a lot of dialogue. So in that first DNA thing, I use a lot of Jay-Z dialogue. In this one, I watched a lot of TV when I was a kid, so I just have a weird memory bank of stupid sayings and things like that. So if I know, for example, I want to go from something new to an old school song, I'll find some transition where someone says something like, "God, this is old school," or whatever, and I'll list out all of my transitions, and then I'll figure out, okay, so I could go from here to here to here to here to here to here, and I map everything out. And then, of course, though, in the process of doing it, sometimes certain things work and don't work. So I always, I make contingencies. Well, okay, I could do this, I could do that. It could go to Beyonce, or I don't know. Beyonce did a song with Ghostface Killer, so okay, I could go to a Ghostface Killer song. Ghostface part of Wu-Tang, Wu-Tang did a song with Mariah Carey, so then okay, I could kind of join that. Now I have the diva section, that's how my mindset would work, and I wouldn't actually do that, that's stupid, but I've done stuff I did an original tape, and it was the first song started with Eminem, I played a Vanilla Ice sample, and I was all right, Vanilla Ice, Eminem. So Eminem is another white rapper. Eminem is produced by Dr. Dre, so I'm gonna play a Dr. Dre sample. Dr. Dre worked with Ice Cube, so I'm gonna play an Ice Cube sample. Right? So that's how my mind works, and for a lot of the hip hop heads, they're like, oh wow, they'll get it. They'll be like, oh snap, that made total sense. So those are again cool ways you can make an interesting mixtape. Okay, so this year is the 10-year anniversary of Sweeet. That is one of the mixtapes, again, that really kind of just brought whatever I have to my life. And I made a new mixtape called Sweeet Part 3. So in between there was a bunch of Sweet, Bittersweet, Smooth, Sweet Part 2, and then I did this sugar-coated, they had the remixes that I made, and then now Sweet Part 3. And it's lovey-dovey stuff. So I think a funny thing about when I first made it 10 years ago, that was, 2003? 2002 actually. So it was actually last year. So 2002. What was out in 2002? 50 Cent was big, right? Yeah, 50 Cent was big. Sean Paul. Definitely was not, what was not big was playing Stevie Wonder. We weren't doing that anymore. We weren't playing New Edition yet. Later on, the 80s stuff kind of came back. So I made these mixtapes, and whenever I would make them, my DJ partner, his name's Daddy Dog, he's won a bunch of battles. He would look at me like, you're the dumbest person ever. This is so stupid. And then, of course, 10 years later, I'll still sell copies of this. So, in your lifetime, there will be people who will look at you like you're stupid sometimes, but if you like the product, that's really all that matters. So, I never did it to make money. So let's get that straight. When I DJ'd, I never did it for that reason. Fortunately, I've been able to make a living off of what I do. But always understand there's a difference. If you're trying to DJ to make money, especially DJing to make money, you're in the wrong business. Like, do something else. Go to Apex Tech, learn a trade, get into construction, gamble, anything else. Don't do this, because that's just wasting your time. Alright, so the whole point of this, again, is it's lovey-dovey music, and I wanted to do, again, something elaborate. So do you guys know who Brownstone is? Any chance? Okay, so Brownstone is like a 90s hip-hop group, and you guys, of course, know who Alicia Keys is. And again, I wanted to make these songs not just like play the song over each other. I wanted there to be a conversation between the two artists. And when you make a good remix, it sounds like it should be that way, right? When it's bad, there's something funky about it. And it doesn't mean it's a bad thing, but it's different. Like when I made Jay spit over the Biggie, that sounded right, you know? Like, it sounded just as good as the DOA. And then when I made Biggie spit over DOA, you're like, oh snap. So like, that's the reaction, that's the type of feel you should get. And for me, the only way you could get that is organically. So there are a bunch of programs that will blend for you. Like literally, you just press a button and it'll blend for you. I don't hate, you know, it works for some people. Like, you know, like Girl Talk, his stuff's interesting. But it's also like the kitschiness of what he does. Like that's part of his shtick. I'm not trying to do something like that. I'm trying to do something different. The only way I've been able to make that happen is by doing it on the turntables and by not messing with the keys. So all the key, like if it happens to be in key, that's because I found it. I didn't use like pitch and time or pitching like mixing key or any of those products. Like I'm not knocking anybody who does it. But for me, it's different. Like, and it's a proven entity. All my friends who used to make mixtape can't sell mixtapes anymore. I still can. I'm probably the only one I know who still is able to sell mixtapes. Not quite as much as before, but everybody else has to give them out for free, put them on SoundCloud. So as time has gone by, because people can't make money off of it, you know, you'll hear less and less, like really like hardcore blend mixtapes. Like I was talking to Nick Biggie, I don't know if you guys know who she is. He used to be out in Cleveland, and his mixtapes were insane. And he's like, man, you know, I don't really see the point of doing it anymore because there's no reward for doing it.
Blame SoundCloud for that?
I wouldn't say blame. It's part of the deal. It's different. Like when anybody here carry vinyl? Yeah? Remember? Hey, I know that guy. See this dude right here? Sick DJ. Steve Wonder. Actually, no, dead ass. Like, I rarely meet a DJ whose stuff I'm like, man, this guy's stuff is great. But he sent me his mixtapes and I was like, damn it, I wish I didn't hear this. Because I wanted to do all that. Yeah, this guy's looking good. So when we used to DJ, every time I bought a record, I had to buy doubles. That's $14. And it's more expensive out here.
It's about 40.
Yeah, right?
It's about 40.
So mine was, for a single, I'm spending, every time I go out, $14 minimum. And then if a bunch of new songs came out, even more. And then an album came out, and blah, blah, blah. I have to buy stuff, and it takes a while. And then there's only certain things on white label. There's this, that, and the other. If you have to know someone to get, you know, remember the one white label that everybody wanted was like, all for the cash, like Gangsta. And I knew someone who had it, and they gave it to me. Or like the version of Biggie's with like, me and my bitch on it, or something like that. I don't think that was on the real thing. So to get all this stuff, it was difficult. Nowadays, Kanye does a song on Friday at 12 p.m., you're gonna get it Friday night. Like, it's great. It's a great time, you know, depending on your perspective. So I wouldn't blame it on SoundCloud. Nowadays, when I make a mix, if I want to put it up, someone in freaking the Philippines can hear it right after I finish it. So it's really how you use the tool. If you insist on you know, looking at it negatively, it's going to be negative. If you look at it as a positive, you know, there's more people who can hear your stuff. So be positive. You know, be positive about how you approach it. Okay, so I did this, and it's meant to, again, kind of be something more than just like putting an acapella on a beat. Now, I don't know what things are missing. And again, like, I like to make a storyline, so I start with something that explains the story.
It's all just gonna happen again. We'll get involved and have some good times and some bad times, and we'll break up and feel awful again, and then what?
And then we'll find someone else and we'll do it all over again.
How many times must we go through this?
Until we find the right one.
This is exactly how it should be when it's meant to be. Come big in the sky. If we waste it, I'm ready.
What's going on here, right? Like the lyrics are falling on top of each other. It's almost like one says one thing and then the answer is what Brownstone says. And that's the way you can make stuff interesting. I don't know if you can see like over here, see these lines? So a big part of when you make mixtapes is your arrangement. So actually, if I extend this out, so I remember when I first tried making blends, I would just have like the acapella play and the beat play and kind of just leave it at that. But you can make stuff more interesting by using different parts. So in this case, like this beat, so see, this beat has like a melody, right? Of negative space when there's nothing there. So when you add that to a verse, I'm ready. That and rearrange it that way. Again, just being a little more like fun with it, more creative with it than just leaving it as it would be. Now, it would have been fine if I just let the melody keep going, but with that extra drop, like you feel it, like it changes the energy of the song. It almost prepares you for what's coming up next. And so again, like that, this just comes with time and your personal preference. Some people might be like, nah, I don't want that drop there. And you gotta figure it out. There's also a lot of volume, like again, like if you look at this, like 6.8. I have to match the volume of 2 different acapellas with 2 different beats. And there's just a lot of experimentation until it sounds right. Volume is like I've heard really good mixtapes and like the next song that came in just dropped off so much that all the energy of what the person was trying to do just got lost. And if he just had, I don't know if he just missed it, or it's also like, it depends on your system, like if you have a good mastering system, like maybe he just didn't hear it drop, but when it would drop, it'd be like you get deflated. So you need to practice all that as well. Okay, so now I went over a little bit of technical stuff. The rest of the questions that people were asking me, like, here, let me go over some. But they were definitely more like, you know, like, what's your favorite mixtape and your favorite memory or the hardest thing about DJing, stuff like that. Let's see. Okay, one important question someone asked, is it legal to sell mixtapes? Absolutely not. This is all illegal. I could go to jail right now. But I won't. I will never go to jail for this. I might get a cease and desist letter, and the most famous instance of that was this guy named Danger Mouse. He made an album called The Grey Album, where he mixed Beatles songs, instrumentals with a Jay-Z acapella. And the year that came out, I don't know what magazine, it might have been like Time Out New York, said that was the best album of the year. And essentially, he got a lot of attention because he got in trouble. So there'll be a case where some people will get in trouble, but that should never be your deterrent. You guys won't. Like that worst case scenario, you will get a cease and desist letter. And the current version of that is like if you put something on SoundCloud that they don't like, they kill it. They'll take it off the SoundCloud. So that's, you know, don't worry about the legality of it. Don't sue me if you guys get in trouble, but I'm just saying, like, this is the general rule. Don't worry about the tapes that I was most proud of. I guess I would have to say the first one I did, which was original, and that I made 11 years ago. And again, like that project got me everything I got. you know, from the J thing to, you know, talking to y'all to whatever. Yeah, Turntable Lab has it, and all my stuff. If you really like, I'd rather you guys listen to it. If you guys don't have loot, go online. People have posted it up all over the place. One dude is even selling it on. I don't know how he got away with it. He's selling it on iTunes. Someone bootlegged my stuff. They're selling it on iTunes. Check it. Yeah. my worry is like I'm gonna get him in trouble, and he's like, okay, now I'm coming after you, and then next thing you know, I can't really do anything about that. But let's see what else. Okay, one person asked, is there a way to record and use Serato with using just one computer, or do you need 2 computers? Okay, so actually these days, if you have a 57, you can record. I don't know if you guys know that, but you can record your sets onto Ableton, right?
Bridge.
Yeah.
You can use the bridge,
yeah.
or you can record it straight from Serato.
Yeah. But the bridge, well, if you do it with the bridge, it'll actually separate them into tracks.
Yeah, you can
memorize the fader. Yeah. So definitely there's a way to do it. Now the traditional way though, I would suggest having 2 computers because obviously, you know, it's doing double duty. There is latency, like situations, especially if you guys are cutters. But I always have problems cutting when I'm recording. It sucks because like it's actually playing the instrumental off here, and there is latency enough that I'll always, I don't know, it's just, it'll throw me off. So probably the best way if you're really a cutter is try to knock it out at once if you can. Or get a really, like, you know, again, my computer, I built it a while ago, so I'm sure you could get better systems, but still there is still some latency. You know, if you can knock that out, that's definitely one of the things. You guys should know that though, like, you know, just scratching on Serato is not the same as scratching on vinyl. Is there anything you guys want to ask me that I'm here that I talked about? Don't be shy, seriously.
Are you doing your effects in the...
Oh, good question.
In there or on the...
Okay, so effects. I keep my stuff to a minimal. One thing I do use quite a bit is like a kind of this echo chamber sound, and I use all stock stuff. It's in Pro Tools. It's pretty easy to do. Just have to find the one that has it now. I'm about to get out of here. Okay, I think this one. Okay. Hey, how do I show the inserts, right? Okay, so in my case, I use this thing called reverb a lot. If I open this up, it's just like this thing, and you actually just, all you do is pull the piece that you want to reverberate, and it'll add like a trailing echo on it. So that's definitely one little trick for everybody, and a lot of you guys know that already. Like when you can't mix out of something, you throw the little loop on, you're good to go. Which is cheating. I never do that. I'm telling you, I don't do that. But you know, it has its uses. You know, so that'll add a little echo. A lot of the other effects I do, it's really more of a function that no one really ever taught me how to use these things. Like I just figured it out. When I was on tour with Jay, I would use like the Pioneer 500. So I still use that just cause. I don't even use the ones that are built in just cause I'm just used to that piece. Like there's really no rules. You know, do what you want. You definitely do what you want, and you can figure all that out as time goes on. Anything else pertaining to this? All right, let me go to, you guys asked, there's a lot of questions. I don't know if I got everything here. Program. Do you guys want to go and know a little bit about marketing the product? Yeah. I think that would help you guys. All right. So these days, people don't usually sell mixtapes. Like Steve, you know anybody who does? No. Yeah. They don't really happen that way, especially if you are an unknown entity. So you guys are really fortunate to be in a great era where you have SoundCloud and you have MySpace pages, you know, whatever, you know, players, whatever, blogs, Tumblrs. Put your music up. Like if that's what you're there to do, put your music up, put your videos up, let people hear what you're doing. Use SoundCloud, use Mixtape, use whatever you can. Now, one thing for me is that I still like to do product. I think that'll always be my Achilles heel maybe, but I try to turn it around and make it something positive. So a lot of times these days, like people just don't buy music anymore, all across the board, like including myself. Like I was saying before, I used to buy 2 records every day, at least 2 records every day. I haven't bought like a new record in 10 years. Like, it's been quite a while since I bought a new record. So I don't really get mad at people. Like the way you need to give added value to like why do people want this? Now we are definitely part of a collector society. Like sneakers, clothes. Like I think if you give people a little bit more story, a little reason why I should pick this up, those are smart ways to do stuff. So one of the things I did was the original box set. I did that last year. I still had like dead stock cassettes that I sold. Like I made it so long ago that it came out in cassette. And I have these dead stock pieces. So I was like, I can reappropriate these. This is something cool. Like, music heads would be like, oh snap, I haven't seen one of these in a while. So I took the mixtape and that was 10 years ago. So I paired it with a USB jump drive with all the mixes on it. And I was able to sell every single one that I made. I made about 300 of them. It didn't really cost me much. And those CDs, those cassette tapes would have just been sitting in my closet if I didn't figure out something cool to do with it. And I also gave them a new mixtape as well to kind of tie everything together. So yeah, that did really well. This year is the 10-year anniversary of Sweeet. So I did a box set with legit artwork, not like the cheap thermal print chicken scratch on a CDR. So again, it's like just like your branding, it's all about your presentation, your packaging. There are 6 mixtapes in the whole series. So when I did it, I was like, there are a lot of soul music, a lot of old music, and so I made the CDRs look like vinyl 45s, right? And then I remember always looking at liner notes and artwork, and so inside is like just a bunch of collages. So you kind of end up, I remember like looking at old Tribe albums and like I knew who Skeff Anselm was and Dante Ross and all these people. Like, why do I know these guys' names? It's because they mentioned it in the song, or I saw it in the back of the liner notes, and I love the group so much that I was like, oh wow, let me like do some research on these people. So the idea is the same, and then of course you give them something new, and that's the new mixtape. So that's on this one, and I'll pass this around so you can see what I'm talking about. The artwork's straight, and yeah, like this. One of the reasons why I'm here is because I have these for sale. See, like but take a look at those. And another cool thing about like marketing, for example, is you need to give like a little more of a story. So I mean, I happen to be lucky. I'm sponsored by Adidas, so Adidas have Adidas money. And so we did a party, like it was me, Questlove, this girl Jasmine Solano. We did that, and then these guys, Acrylick. And they did my t-shirts, and they did slip mats, and I did a limited run of Serato records. Like that's something all DJs like. It's rare, and all of that put together, like it created this story. Like, oh snap! Like this is not just something someone's handing out for free. Like the rappers, like they're just like, yo, listen to my new mix. Like you see it, you know what's going on. You feel like, wow, this is, yeah, $30 is a steal. You know, that's a steal. Getting 6 CDs, all this story involved. You know, so again, that comes with branding. For all you DJs, you need to figure out how to differentiate yourself from like me to you to you to you. Why do you hire me? Why do I hire you? Why do I hire you? Why do I hire you? Blah, blah, blah. That's part of the trick. And there's really no formula. You need to figure that out for yourself. Whether it be your music choices. You know, and there are people, like if you're a scratcher, there are a couple of people who've made it. Like I think Timmy had made it. You guys seen Gaslamp Killer? Like, his show is insane. Like he's just insane. Like you know, but he incorporates turntablism. You know, I'm sure he has to. You know, he also plays like that the down south, like basically trap music with instrumentals. You know, that's I think how he bridges the gap between like Young and the Scratchers and tries to make everybody happy. There's a kid named Inferno who does this live remix project. Yeah, the people who've seen it, like it's amazing. Obviously, A-Track, you know, he started out just like me. I was in Italy when he was, what, 13, 15 years old. And he used to be a turntablist and DJ for Kanye, started Fool's Gold, nominated for a Grammy, blah, blah, blah. Like you know, sky's the limit, you know, as long as you're willing to keep going with those steps. All right, so, but if you guys have questions, again, I'm here to answer. I could have done more technical stuff, but I definitely got the vibe, like people wanted me to kind of just talk a little bit more about this type of stuff. But yeah, I'm here. If you guys want to ask more questions or if you guys want to get back to scratching, I'll be standing around. So, any questions?
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead.
I have a question about the marketing. I know, I think it was a Jay-Z mixtape you did. Did you do you had to enter an email link to get the download? Yeah. I was wondering, like, because I've used that before with the Facebook likes. I was wondering, through your experience, do you find it helpful in getting new names? Does it help your brand? I've always wondered, like, does it work, or, you know, what are your thoughts?
So what he was talking about, Steve's talking about is, there's a couple of different campaigns I've done. I can't do them now because Twitter is locked down a lot. But back in the day, I made this thing where in order for you to download the mixtape, you had to retweet something, and it would kind of give you the option to automatically follow me, like with a checkbox. And so when I did those, I mean, like, I started Twitter late, and you know, I'm not. I remember when I did those little activations, I probably gained like 4,000 to 8,000 followers very quickly. So those are definitely smart. Anything that forces you to like your Facebook page, to force a retweet, those are always very helpful. You know, Twitter, social media, I don't know how much you guys know about how important that stuff is, besides the communication aspect. When you're approaching, it's weird. Usually I get approached, and I think most people usually get approached. But if you ever find yourself in a position where you can approach, like, for example, Red Bull, like say they weren't doing the battle stuff, and you're like, yeah, I want Red Bull to sponsor my party. Like, one of the ways you get them to sponsor your party is being like, yo, I got 50,000 people liking my Facebook page. Like they take that as like, okay, this person's influential. So that type of stuff is very important, and it works. It definitely works. Now it's kind of weird. Twitter won't, whatever code I used to use won't work anymore. So I can't force retweets anymore. And then Facebook, it's kind of, I don't even know what's up, because like sometimes you have to pay to promote. Like, I don't know if they stop people from making it viral. I don't know how that all works. But yeah, that type of stuff, they worth the time. Absolutely. All right, anything else? So
why did you choose a lovey-dovey?
Oh, why? You know, I'm Filipino. it. But you like Filipino dudes are romantic. We're shit. It's just like we're like that, and like I'm older. I'm 38 years old, so I like this stuff. I like older music, and I don't know. Like when I was younger, I used to listen to Stylistics. I don't know why. That's the music I like. So when I became DJ Neil Armstrong, I wanted to bring that back into play. And again, it totally worked. Like that, those are the mixes that people tend to do. Like, yo, someone just told me, like, oh, that mixtape helped me through a breakup. I hear that. I hear, help me through a breakup. I got buns because of your mixtape. Smashed because of your mixtape. Everything. So I got both sides. So yeah, I just like that type of stuff. But you know, it's funny because again that whole you got thing. When I was DJ Neil Armstrong with the Platoon, no one would ever mess with me because I had this crew of people that they were like, I don't want to get beat up. So I never had to really worry about when I did stuff like this. You know, my friends would make fun of me, but it was fun. But yeah, in general, again, so we have multi-tracks. I use turntables. Play what you like. Don't play what is dictated to you. You know, that's why I was telling you guys those stories. I was told that I was a fool for doing this stuff, and this is what made me get everything that I have, right? And you know, find some balance between, you know, I love scratching, I love beat juggling, but that's not gonna pay the bills. You know, you need to give people something, a good product. And you know, that's just my balance, and you gotta figure out yours, okay? Cool? All right, so I'll be here. Out, just go over there, they have them. Like with shipping, usually they're 35. I'm doing them for 30 here in flat. And I think they're doing some deals if you got t-shirts and whatever, so just go ahead and ask. Cool? And I'll be around. If there's questions you wanted to ask and are embarrassed, feel free.
Word. Hey, yo, make some more noise. Neil Armstrong. If anybody in here got buns off of that mixtape, you need to go shake that man's hand. You know what I'm saying? Thank you. If I'm at Stevie Wonder today, I say I got buns off of that Inhibitions record. So yo, once again, I know we asked.